So I know this has been a promised and much awaited video about my makeup. So I met with a professional makeup artist. I booked an appointment. I was there for 2.5 hours and I took all of my makeup, my normal things, and I asked her to teach me how to apply makeup properly for my age. I'm actually turning 55 in 2 more days. And we started off by, she asked me a lot of questions. She said, how do you want to feel when you have makeup on? What's your objective? How much time do you want to spend putting makeup on every day? And I thought that was a really great place to start. And I said, 10 minutes max. I don't want any special makeup. I just want everyday makeup, and I want to look healthy, alive, vibrant, fresh, like I've been out in the sun. I just want to look like I'm living my best life. I don't want dramatic. I don't want cat eye. I don't want contour. None of that stuff. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what she showed me. Step by step, you can use your own products. I'm going to be using my own favorites, and I will explain to you exactly what she explained to me. I learned so many tips and tricks from her. It was unbelievable. It was money so well spent. So I live in Western Kentucky in Paducah, and the gal that I worked with, her name is Erin Hendley. She owns a company called F.A.C.E Makeup Artistry. I will put her information in the description box, so if you are nearby, you can go to her website and book an appointment. And everything that I'm going to use on my face will also be listed below with the color which is appropriate for me. So most of these items are available on Sephora, Ulta, Amazon. Some are from direct brand websites, like one of my very favorite items, you have to go directly to the brand. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do it and explain all the steps. Obviously, I'm starting out with a very clean, fresh face. I do not use fancy like skincare products. I use Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Cream. Very simple. It is very lightweight. I have just your typical skin. It's not dry, it's not oily, it's just your normal skin, and I think this is great underneath makeup. So I did put that on probably 30 minutes ago. It is fully soaked in, and now I'm going to get started with my makeup. So I used to put on foundation with a brush, and that was the #1 no-no. She said foundation should never be smeared across your skin. It should be blotted onto your skin. So she got me started with makeup wedges, and I actually bought these from her, but they're available basically anywhere. I'll link some that I found on Amazon. But wedges are super important because you want a pointy end on your wedge, and it looks like that. And we're actually going to use every piece inside of the wedge to put on lots of different makeups throughout the video. So you got to start with a good wedge, and you do get these damp. So put it under water, wring it out, and I'm starting with a damp sponge. This is one that I got out new yesterday, and she said I could use them actually for up to a month. I use them for about a week or two and then toss them out because the sponges are really, really, really inexpensive. And once they get pretty good and gunked up, I like to just toss them out. So I have my wet sponge, and y'all are going to laugh at this, but she told me that you never ever go from foundation to face. You always have to blot it off in the middle. So I have a paper towel here, and you need something solid that you can put your foundation on to boop, boop, boop with your sponge and then blot it. So she actually gave me an old floppy disk, and I laughed at her. I'm like, who even uses these anymore? She said, they are so good for putting your foundation on there. So that's just what I keep using. So my foundation is an Il Makiage. I woke up like this. Shade will be in the description box because I have to put on my glasses to be able to read all these bottles. But it is color 120. And I put a couple of pumps, just like 2 pumps, about that much on my disc. and that is all I need for my entire face. So I am not in my bathroom, obviously. I'm actually sitting in the kitchen, my kitchen window, so I have natural sunlight, and I have my makeup mirror here that has a regular side and a 10 times magnification, and it is lighted so I can change the color temperature and the brightness. So I have it here so I can see exactly what I'm doing for you. So I'm going to take my sponge, the round end right there, and I'm just going to dot it in the foundation, and then I'm going to give it a pat on my paper towel. And this was the very first trick she taught me. I just am going to, and I always have my hair pulled back, by the way, so it's not in the way. I'm just going to start patting it on my face. And I told her that before we get going, you can see I have little marks right here under my eye, and it's from where I wear sunglasses so much when I'm outside and I'm always squinting. So I have little lines right there, and I told her that was one of my main things that I wanted to be able to disguise with my makeup. And oddly enough, she said, you don't do that with your foundation. You do that with a highlighter. So I'm just going to take this sponge, dot actually all the way under my chin a little bit, and I'm not sliding, I'm just patting pretty quickly. So I actually had my appointment with her a couple months ago, and it's taken me that long to get comfortable with what she taught me and to be able to do this quickly. So pat around my nose and up everywhere. I'm not getting up underneath my eye. That was what she said. Do not do that. So I just kind of pat, pat, pat. And if there are areas, like I don't like to put foundation right here on my lip. I think it makes this lip look like it's protruding. So I do avoid that. But she said, you got to get it around your nose and just kind of, she calls it veiling it in, which means lightly patting so it doesn't look like there's an area that you avoided. So I turn my mirror around to the 10 type magnification, and I do my nose area. I have broken capillaries right here on the sides of my nose, so I make sure that I get those areas pretty good. And once the makeup is mostly gone off of my sponge, I do kind of get right up underneath the eye just real gently, and everything is veiled. So the great thing about using a sponge, you can layer your foundation on if you want more coverage, less coverage, if you have spots that need more attention. I don't like a lot of coverage on my forehead. Mainly it is here. This is the area that I want the coverage, so I can really, really control it with this. And it's taken me a couple months to just kind of get used to that, because I was somebody who used to put foundation on my hand, take a brush, and then just smear it on my face. And once I got used to this lighter, more natural look, I love this. So foundation is on. So the next thing we're gonna do is a bronzer, because I want to look sun-kissed. Healthy, glowy, vibrant, and sun-kissed. And I have a makeup palette from Saint that I got last year, and it's full of a lot of things, some that I love and some that I don't, but they're all still in here. And if you're not familiar with Saint makeup, everything comes in a little magnetic tin. So you buy a palette, and they come in all different kinds of colors and shapes and sizes. You buy the palette, you pick out each of the cosmetics, and then they just snap in here with a magnet. So this was a foundation that I originally bought that I actually don't love. I have a lighter highlighter color and a kind of shimmery highlighter that I do love. This was a contour. I do not use that. I don't love the blush, honestly, just simply because I think it was the wrong color for me. This is called a bronzer, and that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to take a long square edge of that same exact sponge and just tap it in the bronzer, and again tap 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 on my paper towel just to make sure the excess is off. And then I'm going to start on my forehead and just lightly tap. I don't want this to be noticeable at all. It just is going to look like I've been out in the sun. And then come down right here, not high on the cheek, not low on the cheek, just the natural cheek, and just do a little bronzer, just like you've been out in the sun. Now, the next thing she did totally caught me off guard. She took the bronzer and she tapped it on my neck, right underneath my jaw. And I stopped when she did that and I said, wait, you're putting bronzer down on my neck? And she said, absolutely. You have got to balance everything out and you're just doing little dabs, that's all. So just make sure I've got just a little bit of that bronzer and it looks like I've been out in the sun. So now I'm going to take my cream blush and I'm going to show you this. It looks horrible because I'm almost out, and yesterday I scraped around at the corners of this little tin to get it in the middle so I could use it. But this is Tower 28. It is called Beach Please and the color is Office Hours. This is one of my very favorite things. I love a cream blush. So I'm going to take the other side of my makeup wedge. So we use this one for foundation, bronzer. The other side is my blush, and I'm just going to lightly tap it in the blush and again tap it on my paper towel. And you'll learn when you do that it's a really good thing that you do it, because a lot of times I get way too much on here and that first tap on the paper towel gets off that excess, so then I'm left with something uniform and I can apply my makeup without having like a big glob on there. So to put on blush, she said, smile with your mouth closed, and the apples of your cheeks is where you want your cream blush. That's hard for me because I used to go and like put on blush. Make sure you smile with your mouth closed, and you can see the apple. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. Everything is always a tap. Tap, tap, tap. And you do want to come in to the apple. You want to get the whole apple. And if you need more blush, you can go back and re-tap in your tin and get a little more. I think I do need a hair. I'm in different lighting in here in the kitchen than I'm used to. So tap it off on the paper towel. Mouth closed. Okay. And the great thing about this is if you get a little too much, or whoops, you get some a little too far down, you can just take your foundation, tap it back in your original foundation, and veil it off. Just start tapping where you have too much or the wrong placement, and you can lessen it or get rid of it entirely. So now we're going to move on to another bronzer, and this is MAC. Again, one of my very favorite things. This is called Warm Soul, and it makes me just feel like I'm alive. I love this stuff. So I'm using a makeup brush from Ulta, and an interesting thing about my meeting with Erin Hendley, I took everything I owned, all of my makeup, every single one of my brushes, and she laid them all out. And for each thing that I was applying, she chose the appropriate brush. And honestly, I was using the wrong brushes for all the wrong things. Like, I just cannot tell you how much I learned from her. It was invaluable information. So this is going to be my bronzer brush, and she taught me to hold it lightly at the end. We're just going to lightly. If you hold it up here, you're swiping and you're putting on way too much. So you hold it back here and you just beep, 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 put on your bronzer. So bronzer, always tap, look at the cheek, and I'm just going to lightly bronze right here, and I'm going to go up right here and down here. Just swirly, swirly. So swirl, always tap, little there, up onto my forehead and down here. And I do one more light one, and I want bronzer on my nose because that's what gets sun when you go outside, and I'm just going to kind of lightly tie it in to my cheeks. So So now I look like I'm bright and alive. I'm happy. I've been out in the sun, but I'm not going to stop there. I have this little teeny brush, and I've had this for a zillion years. It was actually from, I can't even read it. It's the color's been, you know, knocked off of there. But I'm going to put on a little bit more blush. And Erin laughed at me when she saw this. This is Tarte, and it's a color called Natural Beauty, and it is bright pink. And she said this was the fun fact that she learned from me, that I loved this bright pink. Twirl and tap, and I'm just going to lightly, holding my brush at the end, put it right here, right at the tops, right at the tops of the cheekbone, and that just brings me to life. Now that we have all of that on, I want to use a little bit of highlighter. This is where I'm going to disguise the lines here from my squinting with sunglasses and a little bit of a hollowed look, and I go back to my Saint palette. So I have two highlighters. This one has a little bit of a shimmer in it, and that is exactly what I want. So I'm going to take my sponge and the side that I had my original foundation on, and you can use one or the other. I actually like to mix these. So I'm just gonna, I'm kind of tapping the edge of my wedge. Tap, 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 and then I tap on my paper towel, and I'm gonna get right up underneath my eye and apply this. So I'm using my magnification mirror, but I'm gonna go directly all the way up to my eyelid and just pat, 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 even up onto this area and a little out here, because I want to lighten and highlight that area so it doesn't stand out and be so dark. Like you can already, I don't know if you can see the difference. This is the eye I just did. This is the eye I did not do. This one you can see the lines and the whiteness, and over here I'm filled in. So I'm going to do that again. Tap, 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 tap on my paper towel. Just get right up underneath that eyelid and just tap around. Okay, and this is just a me thing, I think, but when I'm out in the sun, which we just had a holiday weekend, I was outside for 4 straight days in the pool. I get really, really suntan right here where my wrinkles are. So I also like to take this tapping technique and just apply it right there, right in that triangle, to kind of lessen that darkness. There we are. That is all we're going to do with this little triangle. Thank you, thank you. This is like the star of the show, Erin told me, because we use it for so many things. Last thing we're going to do to the face, and this is just like the, what do you call it? The creme de la creme, the cherry on top. You do not have to do this, but I love it. So this is a Charlotte Tilbury highlighter, and I got this from Erin. This is a fan brush. See how flat and skinny it is? And I'm just gonna do a smidge of highlighter. So instead of like, you don't smear it in like this. You lay the brush on its side and you fan it over it, tap, tap, and then you just lightly right at the top of your cheeks and on your temples. And you probably won't even notice this on yourself, but when you go outside, this little bit of beautiful shimmer, it just makes you look like you are glowing and so healthy. So this is Charlotte Tilbury. And fun fact, can you see the shimmer in this case? It is beautiful. So now we're going to move on to lips. She said face first, then lips, and then eyes. And I do that most of the time unless I'm getting ready to eat. Then I save my lips for last, but we'll go on and do the lips exactly like she told us. So I have a Charlotte Tilbury lipstick. This is a kind of pale pinky color. And then I'm going to put on a lip gloss and a lip liner. So lipstick first. I'm just going to lightly apply the lipstick. And a lot of times I don't even wear lipstick. I just use a tinted lip gloss. But if you're gonna do all three, which today we're doing the whole shebang, I put lipstick on first, then the lip liner. And I said to her, wait, shouldn't lip liner go on first? And she said, absolutely not. When you put your lip liner on first, it gives you a very harsh demarcation line for your lips. And when you're older, she said lipstick first, then lip liner. If I was only doing the lip gloss, I would put the lip gloss on first, then my lip liner. But because we're going to do 3 steps today, we're going to layer these on. This is a lip liner that Erin actually sells herself. It is branded by her Face Makeup Artistry. It's a color called Toast. I will link her website below if you're interested in this, but this was just a very neutral, natural shade that worked with my skin tone. So the trick to lip liner, she said, you don't come below your lip, you actually line your lip feathering into the lip itself. So let me see if I can get this on for you all. The lip inward. A lot of people want to draw a line and that looks very unnatural. So lip feathering inward. So a little bit of your lip is going to get covered by the lip liner, and that is exactly what you want. Then you can come down here to the lower part and expand just a little bit. So you don't have a harsh line. You just have like a border that expands onto your lip a little bit. And she said, never, 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 never line your top lip. And I'll show you why in a sec. So now I'm going to take my tinted lip gloss. This is from Hourglass. It is my favorite lip gloss. I have it in so many colors. This is the color red. You can see what that looks like in the tube, but it just goes on very natural. And I'm going to slide on that lip gloss, do my lips together, and there it is, lips done. And they look, let me turn this over. They look so supernatural, but yet my lips are pronounced. They don't look like I have, you know, made up lips at all. It's just very natural and very fitting for me. So I said, now what do I do to the top lip? Like if my top lip is not lined and my bottom lip is, and she said, all you ever need to do to a top lip is take, like if you wanted more defined little Cupid's bow, I guess they call it right there, take your makeup sponge, dab it in your foundation, which is still on there, and just swipe it down. That's it. And that's my lip. And like I said, most of the time I just do lip gloss and lip liner. If it's a special occasion or I don't know, I feel like I need a fancier lip, I'll do a lipstick, but most of the time it's just this. All right, now we're going to move on to eyes. And eyes, I learned so much stuff from her. So I'm going to use my St. palette. The second tier of this is all of my eyeshadows, and I love all of these colors except for this kind of corally color. I honestly really don't wear that one that much, but these in here I absolutely love. The thing about Saint eyeshadow, it is not a cream eyeshadow, it's just called a powder, but it has a very creamy consistency to it. So when it goes on, it just glides on so smooth. There is no fallout. It doesn't come off during the day. It is the best eyeshadow I have ever used. This brush is from RMS Beauty. It's a flat topped round little brush. I ordered some of their cosmetics. Honestly, did not love any of them, but I loved the brush. So 3 steps to eyeshadow. I am going to take one of these lighter neutral colors. A lot of times I just mix my colors together. I don't necessarily do one thing or the other. Today we're just going to use this lighter color. So I just go in a circle and you can just feel the creaminess on there. And I'm going to put this all over my eye, all the way up to my eyebrow. And you ready for this? In this intersection. So when I met with her, she went step by step. She did one half of my face, then I duplicated what she did on the other half. And when she did this inside of my eye, I said, whoa, like you're putting makeup on the inner corner of your eye. She said, absolutely. Where you have eye space, you want eye color. Otherwise, it makes your eyes look small and beady. So she said, open it up and put it everywhere. And it works. So I'm going to do the same with the other eye. And just put that all over my eye, even into that inner corner. Now, if you get crazy and you do get too much inner corner, which sometimes I do, like just now because I was talking to you, just take a little Q-tip and you can wipe some of that off. So my whole entire eyelid, all of my eye space has that light color on it. Then I'm going to take a darker color, and today I'm wearing pink, so we'll just go pink. Same brush, and I'm going to put this right here, right over the top of my eye. I'm not doing my entire eyelid. It's not my whole lash line. It's just dabbing it right in the center. That's it. And you can mix and match and change colors and combine colors. It's just, your preference. But just keep that darker color right there in the center. Then we are going to take this little eyeshadow brush. This is from BK Beauty, and I do use a lot of their brushes. These come in, I think I got like a 5 or 6 pack of brushes. This is just a little puff, and I'm going to use my Naked Mini palette, the end color, the very dark color here, and watch this. Dab, dab, dab. Make sure that you dab this on your paper towel and get off the excess, and you are not going to believe where this eyeshadow goes. I thought it needed to go on the outer corner, and she said, no, no, when you are over 50, never, never. Very lightly into the inner corner. Just do a little bit, only halfway, and it's just a little bit. It's not in the crease, it's over the crease, and that gives your eye lift. Tap, tap. Tap on the paper towel right over the eye in the inner corner. And boom, that's eyes. I'm going to do my eyebrows next with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Eyebrow Duo. This is in the color Chocolate. There's 2 colors in there. I primarily stay on the darker side. And I have the Anastasia eyebrow brush. So on one end there's a spoolie, on the other end there is a sharp little brush looking thing. So she said brush your eyebrows up first before you get going so you can see what you're working with. And she said always do the eyebrow you don't like first, because I have an eyebrow that is always shaped great and then an eyebrow that is always weird. So she said start with the weird one always. So I'm going to tap in the little brush. Just tap, tap, tap. And I like to get back from my mirror, just like I have a really good distance from it, and very sparingly fill in any spots that need shaping or that are kind of sparse. I don't do a lot to my eyebrows. Take the brush, the spoolie end, and then just kind of brush them again. And that is really all that I do. I don't like my eyebrows over pronounced. I feel like that's one of the things that can really, really age you. And I have full bushy eyebrows, and that's all I need to do. Fun fact, I have been going to get my eyebrows waxed. That was something new. I've gone 2 or 3 times now, and there's really not shaping involved. She is waxing off. You really can't see them unless you get in like a 10-time magnification mirror. The little teeny baby fine hairs around the eyebrow, that once those were gone, it really gave my eyebrows a very defined look. And I love this about it. So I go in, I have a gal here in downtown Paducah. I will put her name in the description box below. Takes her 5 minutes, wax, wax, boom, and I'm out of there. I did it like 2 weeks ago. So this is how great my brows look with just almost minimal effort. Okay, so we're almost done. I'm gonna do eyeliner and mascara and we're out of here. So this is another BK Beauty brush. Look how small this is. So eyeliner is one of those things that I never can figure out how to do it right. I see women all over Instagram talking about, you know, wing eyeliner and do this and don't do this. And eyeliner was one of the main reasons I went to see Erin. I used the L'Oreal Pencil Perfect Espresso eyeliner. Black is way too harsh for my coloring. So this is like a chocolate brown. And this is what she told me to do. She said, when you do eyeliner and you put it on, you never put it on at an angle. You come straight at your eyelid. So this one rolls up. She said, brush it on your paper towel just to get it started. And then, I got to do magnification to see this. And then you just very lightly, I have to pull my eye a little bit, very lightly get it as close to the lash line as you can. And she said, don't worry if there are some little spaces or gaps that didn't get eyeliner. We're going to take this teeny brush and we are going to combine everything together. And I kind of come at it from both directions. You want to get it basically at your lash line. You don't want a gap between your lash line and your eyeliner. You want to kind of smear this in so that everything is consistent. And then I take it and pull it over here to the edge. Very simply. And we're going to take your brush and see if there is any eyeliner left on here. And I like to come in at the corner of my under lash and just pull that over. And a lot of times I still have plenty of eyeliner on here. I don't need to apply eyeliner to my under lash. But if you do need to do it, she said take your eyeliner and dot, and then connect it with your brush. Don't draw it under your eyes because that is just way too much. I'm not somebody that ever wore eyeliner under my eyes until I met with Erin, and she taught me the importance of it. It just gives like boundary to your eyes, makes them stand out just a little bit without looking too harsh. So you can see the difference. This one has eyeliner, this one does not. Really big difference. So let's do the other eye. Roll up your eyeliner, shush it on a paper towel, and a paper towel is invaluable. Like I get one out every time I do my makeup, and when I'm finished I look down and I'm like, wow, I really use that paper towel. So I'm just going to straight into my eye, apply some eyeliner, and then take my brush and kind of like, I forget the word she used. Buff is not the right word. Blend. That's the word I'm looking for. Blend it in to the lash line. And then take my brush. I have plenty on there, I feel like. And run it under the eye. And just right at the lash line. You don't want it to drop down any at all. So I just realized in my mirror, now that I'm up close, and I'm not in my normal environment, that I must have gotten or touched my face with my eyeshadow brush right here. I had some eyeshadow there. So I'm going to clear that up with my sponge and my foundation. Just pat, and just do a little veil and cover up that eyeshadow glitter. Alrighty, let's move on to mascara. So I do a two-part mascara. I love the L'Oreal Voluminous Eyelash Primer, and I use the L'Oreal Lash Paradise Mascara. This is a very unique color, and I cannot read the bottom, but it's almost like a bronzy brownie too, but it definitely goes on brown. This is my favorite. I don't use black mascara. It just looks so harsh on my eyes. And my eyelash curler, this is available on Amazon, and I'll tell you what, money does buy a good eyelash curler. The cheap ones you find at your grocery that are $8 are not going to curl your eyelashes. This is a specific brand. It is used by professionals. It is available on Amazon. It's like $25, but I'll tell you, game changer. So I'm just going to lightly curl my upper lashes, give it a couple pumps, not a big deal. And then put on my eyelash primer. And an eyelash primer is white when you put it on, and then as it dries, it turns clear. And this just gives my eyelashes some oomph. Without the primer, they're just kind of wimpy. Like I have a lot of eyelashes, but they just don't do anything. So I love the primer to just get some life into my eyelashes. Another fun fact about your mascara, when you pull this out, she bent my brush. And she said, do you know that you're supposed to bend your brush? You're not supposed to use a mascara brush straight. So you bend it to whatever angle is comfortable for you. I like mine kind of like that. And then it is so much easier to put on your mascara. Like, I was amazed. Nobody ever told me to bend my brush. And then I just put this on, making sure to get my eyelashes all the way around my eye, not just the corner. You want to really draw out the outer edge of your lashes too. And she did something that I need to do. I've just been lazy. She had these clean mascara spoolies that are available on Amazon. I need to go order some. That after she put on the mascara, she would run that clean spoolie through there to get out any clumps. I do get clumps every now and then, and I'm always like, oh my gosh, I need to get those spoolies, but I haven't. And if you get any on your skin, I just use a little paper or a little Q-tip, just comes right off. And then lightly do your bottom lashes. And I thought before meeting with her, I should have only done the bottom lash, only did the outside of my eye. And she's like, no, do all the way around, but super light on the bottom. So now I have big, voluminous eyelashes that look natural. They don't look overdone. I'm going to do the other eye so I match. So I just kind of pump it like 5 or 6 times, hold it for a second. Eyelash primer. I do not put primer on my bottom lashes. This is an upper lash thing only. It's very weird doing my makeup in the kitchen. I know it shouldn't be, but it's very odd feeling. And mascara, oh, see, I always get it somewhere. It is inevitable. And if I just get it off quickly with a little Q-tip, that's fine. See, this eye went on just a little gloopy. So one of those spoolies would have been fantastic about right now. And there is the makeup, y'all. That's it. I mean, that's all there is to it. You know what? I just realized I totally forgot to show you all something. Looking down at everything, let's back up a second. Let's just say that I'm just now doing my lips, right? Putting on my lip gloss. And then I'm going to use my lip liner like I did. We'll pretend we did that, blah, blah, blah. Another thing that you can do to emphasize your lip line, and it's like an addition to your lip liner, take this very sharp end of your makeup wedge, dab it in your foundation, tap it off, and then you can come right up underneath that line with the foundation, and it sharpens the look of your lip. So I'm gonna back up with my camera and show you all my setup here, what everything looks like, and show you my paper towel. Paper towel is an absolute must-have when you're putting on makeup. Like, you'll see, it is covered in everything. But I feel put together, I feel natural, I feel radiant, I feel sun-kissed, I feel now like I'm armed with all the knowledge to be able to do makeup properly, what is fitting for me in my age. Meeting with her, it was just worth every single penny. And like I said, if you're in Western Kentucky, you should check her out. She can show you how to do, glamorous looks and cat eyes, or you just go in and you say, this is the information I want to gain from you, and she'll show you how to do it. You can buy her products. She can pick out colors for you. You can take your own things like I did. Highly recommend F.A.C.E Makeup Artistry, and that's what I do every day. I think of what I learned from her when I'm putting on my makeup. So now I'm just going to take my hair down, kind of give it a little fluff. I always pull it back when I'm putting my makeup on, put on some earrings, and I'm ready for the day. See you later.